Alaska, go north, the rush is on. North to Alaska, go north, the rush is on.
Okay, I got some other clips of Zeitgeist of Denim I want to play. A lot of you will be checking it out. Most of you have already probably seen it. I would challenge folks from the Zeitgeist crowd to which I respect and enjoy and think are great, but I also like to argue with people, and I am competitive. I can't help it. I was conditioned that way, and I think a little bit of it's the genetics. I mean, in the short segment for you to say whatever, basically other points you want to make, then I want to play some clips and go through those with you in the next segment, sir.
Okay, well, I can only continue to reiterate my central point, which I don't think has been fully absorbed, and I think everyone listening should seriously consider the reality that human conditioning is the central point. Now, I will jump to the fact that this society that we're talking about can work if people begin to understand what the central elements of it are and how universal these elements are. It's based on the carrying capacity of the Earth. This is not some fantastic notion. It's not something that's not some utopia that someone's inventing. It's not subjective. We want to remove subjectivity and opinion from society to the extent where everything that's created systematically, every system that works in society is derived from a concrete foundation based on the available knowledge, the highest form of available knowledge and technology that we have today. This will never occur in a profit system ever because it's based on scarcity and reduction and inefficiency, planned obsolescence. We are totally paralyzed. People have no idea how free we could actually be if we allow the fruits of technology to flourish, and then the human value system will undergo incredible change. Will it eradicate all types of aberrant behavior? No, probably not, at least not in any kind of quick time frame whatsoever. However, the pattern and the path is extremely clear. Prisons, police, we buy... these are horrific. We think these are true institutions. If someone does something, they want to throw them in prison. This is the wrong thing. We want to figure out why they did what they did and address the social conditions that create that environment. Our entire society is completely backwards. We can't function this way, and that is the central core of my thesis and what I want people to think about. Human behavior is influenced to a very, very large extent, and this human behavior is the source of the problem. The New World Order will not change until you address the people that are at the very bottom and why they believe what they do.
Oh, I agree. I say every day a lot of the problems are, it's all of us individually. Look in the mirror if you want to know the bottom line problem and the bottom line solution.
Absolutely. The battle is with yourself. I mean, Alex, your whole website is called InfoWars, and I have to say, I understand where you're coming from because there is a battle going on, and it's important that people stand up for themselves, but this is not an end disposition. There's a reason why peace protesters are met with guys in riot gear and automatic weapons, because they're waiting for something. They want to perpetuate the war system. They want the us against them mentality to flourish because that's how they maintain control.
Yeah, the teams, and they use the sports teams and all those images to always balkanize us and divide us. Where do you stand on the Second Amendment? There's always going to be bad people that want to hurt good people. Aren't I allowed to have guns?
It is not a matter of allowed to have guns. Is it necessary? And that's the thing I disagree with you.
But who's going to decide if it's necessary? Because I assure you...
If there's a need to manufacture a gun, it could happen. However, you're missing the point. You're trying to achieve a system that doesn't have stratification and control. We live in such a stratified control mechanism. There's elitism in every...
Who is going to enforce no one having guns, man? And
there's no enforcement. It's based on the understandings and education of what this planet is, who you actually are. This is why I go after religion, because religion is the biggest, most offensive, stagnating element, systematic institution that there is. You cannot have a whole group of people believing in something that stops their intellectual growth. Does that mean they need to be eradicated? Of course not. They need to be educated. Education in our society is completely irrelevant and idiotic. You get an A if you're smart, so to speak. You get an F if you fail. That imposes immediate stratification and immediate competition. The fact is, the educational system is a complete joke because they don't take into account the nature of each individual person. True thought is true education is critical thought processes, not retaining information.
Well, I agree. Learning how to think and learning the joys of it. But wait a minute. We've heard all of this stuff about getting rid of test scores, getting rid of that, and it's actually had disastrous effects where it's been tried. I mean,
sure. That's because people aren't prepared for it. They're not ready for it. And this is something that I want to reiterate again. No one's ready for this. If you took somebody right now and froze them in ice, and you had them re-thought out and rejuvenated 1,000 years from now in say a resource-based economy, they would be completely obsolete. They would not know what to do. their value systems would be, their conditioning would be absolutely obtuse. They would, most likely, they wouldn't work. In other words, they'd probably kill themselves or they'd do something extremely defensive, and then something would have to happen. This is a value system issue.
What would have to happen?
Something would have to happen where the person would be reconditioned in some way. It's the point.
Re-educated?
The point is the value systems are too different.
I've heard all this before. That's the problem, Peter Joseph. Peter, I've heard all this before.
What do you mean you've heard it all before?
I mean, I've heard all this stuff you're saying before, and let me tell you, it isn't pretty. I mean, re-educated, reconditioned. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Look out. We're going to skip this break, too, on the Internet. Peter, again.
That was out of context, and you know it.
I mean, are you for gun control right now? Are you for me not being able to own guns right now? Because that perpetuates.
I don't have an opinion on gun control because it's such a base disposition. It's based on the assumption that you always have to fight and defend yourself.
Well,
and that is what has to be elevated.
Well, I'm still dealing in the world I'm in. I'm trying to people to think. I want people to identify the system and learn how they're being manipulated, and then they can, in a true free society, make decisions through that, and then better ideas, better systems will come to the fore and then become dominant if we didn't have this overarching crime syndicate and we were able to educate the public not to reform it.
Sure, yes. In the interim, yes, you have to have protection elements. This is a system based on differential advantage. You have to protect yourself. That's what the system
And the government has more power. The global corrupt corporations are arming themselves against us. So in this paradigm I'm in, I need to be able to defend myself.
I never said that you didn't have to.
I didn't say you did. I was saying what I thought.
Yes, of course, absolutely. This is the distortion that we currently live in. We can't. This system will continue to perpetuate itself until root causes are addressed. Things like tasers. You're sitting there battling these tiny little things, which is good. I think it's great that you go after and you report and you expose all these little things.
We'll cover it all, though.
They're never, ever going to stop until we adjust the society itself and the environment that's...
Well, actually, we've called in Austin and San Antonio and Dallas to ban them, and now they're restricting them all over the country and restricting them. The San Antonio police chief just said they're going to take a lot of them away and restrict their use, and so they're being curtailed.
Well, that's good, but I mean, in general, there's always going to be new things that are going to come out. There's always going to be.
Well, here's an example. Bush said we couldn't protest 7 years ago. They lost a bunch of lawsuits. We fought it. Now they're backing off the free speech zones in a lot of areas.
Yeah, sure. So it has its, as I said.
But I'm not battling little things. I mean, this is a 4-hour radio show. We're covering it all. We bring a lot of.
Yes, I'm saying that it's the larger scheme elements that we have to be concerned with. We can continue to deal with this and resolve certain things, exposing 9/11. I'm for all of this.
Well, you're not going to have the material for any type of society you're talking about, and I agree with a lot of it, without having a generally enlightened public, and the mainstream media's not doing that. So I'm trying in my own little way.
Of course, and I'm agreeing with you, Alex. The mainstream media is conditioning people to support the establishment. Everyone's been brainwashed in this system from top to bottom to support the establishment, and that's what has to change. The change has to begin initially inside, and then we have to adjust the environment to support that change. And until that happens, my point is that it's just going to keep happening. There's going to be something else to replace the change. There's going to be another free speech zone.
Well, I have some little 2 and 3 minute. Well, I agree. The corrupt system continues to generate always more and more of the bad things we're talking about. We're going back live right now. We only got about 27 minutes left, and I got some 2 and 3 minute clips I want to play and then have you comment on them. I think there's 4 of them when we come back. So let's try to play those and then tell folks about your website and how they can buy a video. Here we go.
And the Mississippi River, she's a gold dry. The interest is up and the stock market's down, and you're only getting mugged if you go downtown.
This song is about being self-sufficient, living on your own property. I believe decentralization is the key. We need more Americans to move to the countryside, to become organic farmers, to create communities where they trade and barter together. Not big, huge, expansive thoughts that I think are important, but also the little thoughts, the little things that lead in a journey to something better.
I can plow a field all day long. I can catch catfish from dusk till dawn.
But now you can't because they're shutting down the farms and ranches under the phony environmental rules.
Make our own whiskey and our own smoke. smoke too.
There aren't too many things these old boys can't do. All right, we are back live with the creator of Zeitgeist, very talented TV editor and producer, Peter Joseph, and working in the corrupt New World Order system, as we all work in it in some way or another. He decided to go out and put it out free on the internet, Zeitgeist, but I do think he should be supported. All alternative films should be. I think you should, while we're still in this system, buy his DVD. How, unless I'm committing a sin here, how do we buy your DVD, Zeitgeist and then Zeitgeist Addendum?
No, there's no sin committed. You can get them for $5 from zeitgeistmovie.com. I'm going to have the full disc downloadable in a torrent in high resolution, full resolution within a day or two, so you can get the whole thing downloaded and burn it yourself.
Okay, fantastic. Let me start getting into these clips, or we'll run out of time. And I want to have you back again, if you'd grace us, to take phone calls in the next month or so.